Yeah, thank you for coming. Why and how are we making lots of games at PUNCAKE Délicieux? Let's go. So this is me, I'm Rémy DEVAUX. I've just been introduced, but I'm going to introduce myself again. I went to a game school in Paris, and I stayed there for 8 months. It was supposed to take 4 years, but I just dropped out and went on to do my own stuff. It didn't turn out so badly. I made a lot of very small games and got myself known a little bit, in the industry anyway. And I started making my own game engine called Sugar. And then I met Benjamin Soulet, who was from Motion Twin like a long time ago, but he had been out of Motion Twin for like, I don't know, 7 years, something like that. And he was really interested in the engine that I was making at the time. So we met, and we really liked each other, so we started PUNCAKE Délicieux. And now we're 3 developers, 1 musician, and 1 illustrator. And at PUNCAKE Délicieux, I do all that. Yeah, so when you're in a small team, you really got to do a lot of different things. And as it happens, I'm the person that has the least trouble doing the things that needs doing when they need doing. So I just, and also like, you know, it's okay. I like to learn things. And so that means that I get to learn a ton of different stuff, which is great because I have ADHD and I need permanent stimulation. So yeah, great. Okay, that's our website. And yeah, so that's the games that we make. That's the last game that we made. We released it last week. It's a card game about drafting gods and then battling them against a team of other gods. That's a Scrabble game in outer space that we released in January. That's Hot Wax. That's a Tetris-like with candles, and you don't actually have to make lines. You just have to burn everything. This one, there's a demo for it on the Steam Next Fest right now. It's actually out on itch.io, but it's not out on Steam yet. So if you want to go and wishlist that, that would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're mostly known for Shotgun King. That's a game that we made. That was our 9th game. We made it in 2022. And it's chess, but instead of having an army, you have a shotgun. It's really stupid, but it works really well, and it made us a lot of money, which is really, really great. We're grateful for that. So yeah, there's a bit of everything. That's a psychedelic circular pong. That's a historical game with cards. That's like a forest spirit simulation with big 3D mushrooms. Yeah, we make a lot of different games, and so I have to press. Wait, I got this. I think. No, doesn't work. I'm sorry, that's my fault. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, why ever are we making so many games? For context, we actually started out making 1 game a month, and we actually managed it not too badly for the first year. And also, Sockpop was doing it at the time, had been doing it for like 5 years. That's a studio from the Netherlands. Yeah, they had actually been releasing 2 games a month for quite a while. So we thought, why not? Let's do it. And so in our minds, it was a great idea because we have so many game ideas. You guys, like, there are so many concepts that we want to make happen. So setting ourselves up to make them real and work our way through all these concepts seems like really clever. And it is. It's really fun and gratifying to be doing that. Also, Benjamin and I, we thrive in game jams. Like even before meeting, we used to do a lot of game jams. And we think that making games in short amounts of times, it's fun, and it gives results that really couldn't happen otherwise. Because when you make a game in a weekend, it's not going to be the same game as the game you would make in like 2 years, because the stakes are just not the same. And also, yeah, I am making a game engine, and the problem with making a game engine is that you don't make any money. It's fun. It's you know, a lot of people say don't make a game engine. The only problem with it is that it's really time consuming. But yeah, I had fun making the game engine, but I couldn't just do that forever because I would starve to death. And Benjamin was interested in the engine, as I was saying, and so that's actually how PUNCAKE started. I sent some very early versions of the engine to Benjamin, and then I told him, well, I'm enjoying working on the engine, but I'm not making any money. Would you like to start a project together and make some games with the engine? Also a great way to actually test the engine, to make games on it. So that's how it all happened. Yeah, we also wanted to set up a Patreon monthly subscription, just like from the start. So the 1 game a month thing was pretty important to us at that time, and it still is. We would still like to get back to that. And also, yeah, fail fast, learn fast, because when you do so many projects, one project's failures are just lessons for the next one, which is also really great. And yeah, maybe we're workaholics. You know, everyone at PUNCAKE really needs to keep busy, so we designed the work to keep us busy, basically. And yeah, the rest of this talk is actually how it happens. What happens for the games to come out? Yay. So I came up with the 6 stages of game dev. We're gonna get through all of these. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. And yeah, so with each of these stage, things can go wrong. Projects can actually fail on any of these stages. Some of these stages, it's just a little bit more likely. This is how I feel about each of these stages. It can vary from project to project, and it definitely varies from person to person. But that's how I see things. But you know what? Since everyone here works in games, I'm just going to assume that we all secretly love pain anyway. So yeah. And by the way, since we're talking about pain, let's talk about crunch. So I sometimes get the question, do we crunch at PUNCAKE Délicieux? And it's a fair question. I mean, we are releasing a lot of games in a short amount of times. What, like, how does that happen? And yeah, it is fair. During our first year, we did crunch quite a bit. We would usually crunch at least 1 day every month for the release, usually, of the month's game. We do it less so now, in part because we have more people to work with, so we can like delegate and not have to do everything ourselves, which is great. But yeah, it still happens sometimes. You know, it's not great, but I think you can. Yeah, no, it's just not great. It's just not great. Crunch can happen during any of the stages of game dev, but it's much more likely to happen towards the end because you're tired of the project. You've been building this thing for however much time. And so you've built this baggage, and at some point you just want to move on and be free of it. And also you might have deadlines. Even if you impose them to yourselves, deadlines are just shitty, and they will make you want to work harder, which is not always healthy. Because yes, crunch is unhealthy. If you didn't know that, I'm telling you, it is. I can attest to it. But I also want to point out that you can still crunch the wrong way and destroy yourself for nothing. And so that's what we're going to be talking about right now. There's a lot of glamour to working through the night on a video game. I would not recommend doing it. I think it's a shitty idea. Personally, I still function much better if I sleep 3 or 4 hours instead of just working through the whole fucking night. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. And also the thing with crunch is that you get tired and your judgment gets much worse, much worse. And so you can very easily get lost in low priority tasks. And one very good example of this, I was working on the mushroom game, the one with the forest spirits that I showed you. And towards the end of development, I felt like the game was almost done. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna work through the night, which you shouldn't do, and finish the game. I'm just gonna finish the fucking game in a night, and I'm gonna feel like a hero. What happened? Well, I spent 5 hours on these sprites. On just these sprites, 5 hours. And I mean, you know, it's difficult. Like pixel art at this size with so few colors, it's not easy, and you can really easily spend a lot of time on it. I'm actually still really proud of that trash can and a trowel. These were really hard to do. But yeah, so, you know, third advice, don't try to crunch a game to completion because, again, you're going to be tired. You have no idea how fast you're actually going to go. So probably you're just going to fail. It's going to feel horrible. And turns out on this game, I actually spent like 2 or 3 more weeks on it. So hey, don't do that. Don't do like me. And also with the poor judgments, it's very easy to get sucked into procrastination. So that sucks. If you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to work this many hours on top of my normal day, and then you actually procrastinate for these hours, not only will you not have done what you set out to do, but also you're going to feel guilty, and you're still going to have the stress of setting yourself up to work during that time, even though you didn't. So, how do you crunch the right way? You don't. Yeah. The best way to approach crunch is still not to do it. Just make the work fit whatever normal hours mean to you. But we all know that you're going to crunch anyway. So here are some advice for that. First of all, make a plan before the crunch period, because as I said, during the crunch period, you're going to have poor judgments. So it's best to just simply prepare. Second advice, go outside, take a walk, breathe some fresh air. I swear it really, really helps clear the brain and you'll feel much better after it, even if you do what you really shouldn't do, which is working through the night. If you do that and you take a walk in the middle of the night, I swear it feels great. It's really, really cool. Know your limits. Do not work too many days. Do not crunch through too many days. For me, the limit is 3. If I work more than 3 days while crunching, the damage to my health is just unsustainable. And so it's best to keep your limit ahead of that. So I recommend 2 days at most. It's good. Don't work through Sundays. I'm not asking you to become Catholic. I'm just saying, don't work for Sundays. There's a reason no one works on Sundays. It's important to at least rest during 1 day in the week. Working 7 days a week is stupid, and you shouldn't do it. It's not worth it. Do other things. Just let your body know that you're not working on Sundays, but actually not working on Sundays. Also, we're still in the basic needs stuff, but socialize. We are social animals. We need to see people. It's best if you can see them in person, but if you can't, that's okay. You can just chat with people online. That works too. But yeah, crunch and loneliness is the perfect recipe for a very, very fast burnout. So I wouldn't recommend that. And take care of your body. Hydrate, feed yourself, take showers. And when you're done with the crunching, rest. Do something else. Go to a museum, watch a movie, learn a magic trick, whatever. Just do something else. Okay, and remember, as our good friend King Arthur would say, it is only a game. Is it really worth all this pain? It's really worth considering. Okay, so anyway, now that we've all learned about crunch, here's what we use, what I use anyway, to make the video games. I do almost all of my design directly on pen and paper. The way we work at PUNCAKE is that each of us work on a different game. So we don't really need to share design docs around. We can actually talk about ideas and that also just work to get some feedback. But yeah, just draw some stuff on paper, it works. For code, I use Notepad++. It has everything I need. It has an Explorer sidebar. We can just pick any file that you want. It's great. It also has a split view. I think that's my favorite feature about it. It has a split view, and you can view the same files, like the same file, but different parts of it on the left side and on the right side, and just edit it, and it works. It's just great. It's amazing. For pixel art, I use Sprite. It's like, I think it's like $12 or $15, something like that. It's you know, it's a premium thing, but it's not expensive. It's also open source, so you can just compile it yourself if you want to do that. If you know how to do that, which most people don't, but yeah. For SFX, I use Pico 8. That might surprise some of you, because Pico 8 is actually a game engine in and of its own, but it has built-in editors, and one of the editors is a sound effects editor, and it's actually really great, and you can just export the sound effects that you made. And when you know how to use it, you can make some really cool stuff with it. So that's great. And the game engine, obviously, is the one that I've told you about already that I've been making. I'm going to try to show you all of these if we have the time at the very end of the talk while we do questions. Right now we don't have time. Some extras, your engine's manual is honestly your best friend whenever you work on your game, especially when you're starting out. You're going to be trying to do things that your engine can do for you. And it's just hidden away in the manual. You have no idea where it is, and that's why you're not using the engine's things. But I'm telling you, it's out there. You just need to look it up and find it. Desmos, it's an online website where you can draw graphs with math formula. It's great for two things. It's great for visual effects, when you got things that are moving around and you want to have curves to like define how it moves. It's also great for balancing. So let's say I want my enemy's HP to evolve whichever way in function of the level, the difficulty level. I can handle that with Desmos, and it's really great to visualize that. And then GIMP or victorp.com, these are the poor man's Photoshops, because not everyone can afford Photoshop, and not everyone is willing to pirate it. So yeah, you can just use these instead. I've been making key arts with GIMP for ages, since the very start of PUNCAKE Délicieux. Now we have an illustrator, so I don't have to anymore, thank God. But yeah, and it worked. You just use what you have, and it works. And for marketing, personally, we're on Blue Sky. We have a Discord server with like 5,000 people, and something that we've been growing ever since we started. And we don't actually have a newsletter, but I hear it's very good, and I would actually recommend it myself, because I follow newsletter. It's just that we never really found the time to set that up. But someday, maybe, who knows? I've been saying that for 3 years. But now it's time to actually get into the thick of things. And so the first step of game dev is your game idea. You have this amazing idea that you want to show to the world. You want to make a game about, I don't know, cooking while robbing a bank. I don't know. You have this idea, pen and paper, you start sketching what your game is going to look like at the end, at least the way you think of it in the very beginning. Try to start already anticipating what problems you're going to have with your game's concept. So if I want to do a game when I'm robbing a bank while cooking, how does that work? How does the cooking get involved into robbing the bank? I have no idea, but I would try to figure that out on paper. And once you've identified the problems, start figuring out solutions now. Don't wait until the problems actually show up. Just think about it now, and that'll be one less thing that you'll need to handle when it happens, because you're going to have problems. That's how game dev goes. And then list down some words that represent what you're trying to achieve. So with my bank robbing cooking game, I think the cooking is very important. So it's a cooking game, but it has a political message, so it's political, it's anti-capitalist. And those are all words that I can use to make decisions later. If I nail down my values for my game now, whenever decisions show up, I can just look at these and judge the solutions by these values. And it's really, really helpful to make decisions efficiently. And if you have references for your game, note that down. Do some research if you can. For example, I showed you the Tetris game. There's a thing called Tetris guidelines. You can just look that up. And there are so many different, very tiny little things of like the way you should time the movements and the way you should time locking down the pieces and all that. And all that is documented on there. It's really, really great. So that kind of stuff is really valuable. It can save you a lot of time of trial and error. It's really cool. Once you're past the game idea phase, now comes the project setup. Now, I hate this one. That's actually part of the reason that I started making my own engine, because I think it really sucks. You have your idea, and you just want to get to work and make it happen, but you first have to set up the project in whatever engine you're using and make sure that everything is set up correctly, before you can actually get to work. So my advice is to keep it as simple as you can. Some tools do make this easier for you. Pico 8 is a great example. It's really, really easy to get started in Pico 8. But yeah, you can try to set things up in advance and have a template. But personally, I tried doing that once, and it didn't work out so well because every project is unique. You don't really need the same things on each one. And so the superfluous stuff that you have now will just be dead weight later, and you'll regret putting it in its place in the first place. Yeah, but also, like, this is the first hurdle. Like, this is the first thing that's going to bother you. And so, are you going to make it past it? Honestly, if this is too daunting to actually make the game, maybe find another idea or a different tool. So, like, yeah, it's that simple. Now, you have set up your project, you're building the game, and it's great because that's it. Like, you're in the thick of it. Now, you're making the game, it's going to be great. Your idea is amazing. You don't have proof yet, but you know it's going to be amazing. Like, because you're building the different parts, they're not connected yet, but in your mind, you can just see it all coming together. It's great, you have a plan. And it's a step where, in my opinion, you should be pretty clear-eyed about what you're doing and where you're going. If you have doubts, seriously, it's a good time to sit down and at least pinpoint what you're not sure about, and might be points of iterations, like things that you might want to have to test and see if they need changes, and then what kind of changes could you be able to do then. Also, if you're not having fun during this phase, please ask yourself, is it going to get better? Because I personally, well, I'm also a programmer, but I think that this phase is really fun. It's not necessarily the case with all games. If you have a game that's will have a lot of content and you think you're going to have fun doing the content, then yeah, sure, maybe it makes sense to not be having too much fun then. But still, I think it's something that's worth considering. Some tips about this phase: you can recycle code, assets, whatever you need. Personally, I have a time system that I use in almost all my projects where it gives you two values. One is the time since the beginning of when you started running the game, and another value that's the time between this frame and the previous frame. But there's a twist. There's also a function that lets you change the speed of the game, and what it actually does is it just changes the values that it gives you. And so if you want the game to be slower, it's going to give you a smaller delta time, so a smaller time that would be the time between this frame and the previous one, and everything that uses its values will just be slower, and it works. It's really great. So that's the kind of thing, like the generic stuff, basically. You don't have to redo it every time. You can just like take it from another project and adapt it. Like, you can just copy-paste and then change it to fit what you're actually trying to do. Copy-pasting, not a sin. No, you can do it. It's allowed. Yeah. Also, this is a great time to start doing marketing because you're still very excited about the project. So it's really a great time to get out there, go on social media, go on Discord servers, and start sharing GIFs and videos or screenshots of your game at this stage. Because the fun doesn't last, we're coming into the Hell Zone, also known as the Miyazaki Zone. Yeah, this is normal. This happens. Like, this is literally, for me, every project, there's a moment where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? And yeah, it's normal. The game is not finished, and unfinished games, they suck. They're not great. Your systems are there, but they're not balanced yet. They don't necessarily work perfectly together, and it's hard. Some tips, things like menus and sound effects can really help make your game feel better, well, feel more like a real game, which can be a real motivator. And you'll have to do them anyway, so you might as well do them now. You can also just find stuff to do on the game that you find fun, that are going to bring you joy to make it through this very difficult phase. And yeah, keep faith. or don't. Sometimes at this stage, you can already tell that your motivating idea, the thing that you wanted your game to be about, is actually not working so well after all. And so if you're at that point and you really don't believe in your first idea anymore, then maybe it's okay to move on to the next project. And let me tell you, giving up at this stage, it feels great. It's like you're walking in the sun, the clouds have parted. It's amazing. You don't have to worry about any of this shit anymore. It's great. You can just move on to a fresh start on another project. Or you can keep going and come to the last 10%, which, as the saying goes, take 90% of the time. Or, as Ben Esposito says, nobody told me when you make video game, you have to make the whole thing. Yeah, you also have to do the menus, the sound effects, the tutorials, the UI, the UX, the achievements for Steam, the testing, everything. You're the person making the game. You just have to do all these things. And it's really annoying. It's kind of hell. And also, because like you're almost done with the game at this stage, so you feel like you're going to be done soon, right? But all these things, they really take a lot of time, especially because you've made all of this game, and now you kind of have to fight with it to include these things that are missing. It's, you know, depending on the project, it can go better or worse, but usually it's worse. You can still try to find shortcuts. No one actually needs tutorials. Your tutorial can just be like, fuck around and find out. That works for our games anyway. You can also just keep some of the fun stuff for this stage, or actually just add fun stuff. For Moon Pong, the circular pong that I showed you really quickly, I was at the very end of development and I did a boss. The game didn't have a boss at all. It didn't have many bosses either. And I thought, I'm having a shit time. I'm just going to have fun. And so I added a mouth mini-boss, a nose mini-boss, and a pair of eyes mini-boss. And then when you come to the end of the game, you have all 3 mini-bosses at the same time, and it makes a face. And there's dialogue. And in dialogue, it turns out that the boss is me, the developer, and I stole the moon, and you have to get the moon back from me. So I had a lot of fun doing that. It was really stupid. It was great. I also kept adding items to the game at that point as well, and that really helps make all this more bearable. Because the problem with this phase is that giving up here, it sucks. Because while giving up at the previous stage was really liberating, but here, if you give up, you have a lot, and I mean a lot of guilt, because your game was almost done. It was going to be done, and you were going to be able to put it out there, but now you're not, and you're going to feel like you've done all of this for nothing, which is really a terrible feeling. But you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about giving up. Sometimes giving up is great. Sometimes giving up is actually good, and it's something that, in my opinion, everyone should consider, because game dev can be a real pain. It is fair to ask if it's worth it or not. I don't know if people here are familiar with the concept of sunk cost fallacies. It's the idea that you've put all of these resources and time and efforts into this project only to just let go of it, and you feel like you've lost something. But have you really lost something? Like, you might have gotten experience out of it, and anyway, the guilt is just, it's keeping you from moving forward. And that's the thing with giving up. Sometimes giving up, it's a huge time saver, because it means moving on to the next project faster and actually finishing that one. And that's something that happens a lot at PUNCAKE. I know it's hard to believe because we finished so many games, but we also have a lot of prototypes that we never finished at all. And there are some very good reasons to give up. Maybe your game's core idea doesn't work and you don't have a solution, or maybe you're burnt out, or maybe you need money and you're not meeting your deadlines. All of these are very good reasons to at least take a break. You can also just not say you're completely giving up on the game. You can just say, okay, I'm taking an extended, an indefinite break. And that can also work. And maybe, who knows, maybe you will actually get back to the game at some point. It's not going to disappear either, And you can give up on the game, but you can also just give up on a feature, or maybe you can give up in games in general. Maybe it's just not for you, and that's also okay. Again, it's something, personally, I feel like it's unhealthy to not consider it. I think it's healthy to say, is this what I want to be doing? But of course, I'm not saying that you should always give up at the first difficulty. That's not the point either. Of course, there is obviously a lot of value in finishing games. I'm just saying that it's worth keeping as an option. But let's say that you didn't give up and you've come to the release time. Yeah. So about the release. So I love itch.io personally. It's a platform for indie games. You probably all know about it. It's really good because it's really easy to release games on it. It's really fast and easy, and you can make a good-looking page, and it's great. The only problem is all the gamers are on Steam. And so while itch.io is your very good friend, Steam is your very bad friend. Steam is the friend that's going to say, yeah, you're going to be able to push your game out. A lot of people are going to play it. It's going to be great. And then they make you wait for 2 weeks, and then another week, and then another week, and then your game comes out and no one plays it. So yeah, Steam takes time. You have to submit a game page, then you have to wait for them to approve it. If something's wrong with it, you have to make adjustments, and then you have to wait again. And then once they approve it, you have to push the button so that the page is public. And then you have to wait 2 weeks before you can actually do release. And if you want to play the wishlist game, you have to wait for however long to get this mini wishlist to actually release your game and have some sort of success. So that's kind of annoying, but it's how it is. It does get better as you keep going, as you keep releasing more games in Steam. You actually get used to doing all of that, which is good, but the first time it's really a pain. Other things that you have to do for a release: make a trailer. Look up Derek Liu. He's a video game trailer editor, and he's great. He gives a lot of tips on YouTube. It's really, really helpful. Make a key art. Key arts are great. Very cheap key art. You can just take a nice screenshot that looks good, slap your title art on it, and there you go, key art, yeah. Key arts are great because you can share your game with them on social media, but also you can put them on your press kit with a few screenshots and your game trailer, and you send the press kit to streamers and creators and journalists, and they can use the stuff that's in there to make nice-looking thumbnails and, put your screenshots on their articles or whatever. And it saves them time, and it's going to look pretty, and everyone's going to be happy in the end. And of course, that's also part of getting the message out. You want to be, of course, telling all the people who follow you on social media that your game is out, but you want to reach out to creators as well and tell them, okay, this is my game. One way to do that, if your game is inspired by other games, you can look up people who have covered these games and try to get their contact info and try to contact them and sending them the press kit, a key, a link to your trailer, a link to your game page, a very, very short description of your game. It's very important to keep all of this short because if a streamer opens your mail and see a wall of text, they're not going to bother reading. So yeah, and oh yeah, do not start a Patreon unless you're making a porn game. The problem with Patreon is that it's a huge time investment. It really takes a lot of effort, and for games in general, it just doesn't work very well. We're pretty lucky to have one that doesn't work so badly, but again, it's also because Benjamin and I, when we started PUNCAKE, we already had a following. We already had upwards of 5K followers on Twitter, and a lot of people who were following us actively and were talking to us and this kind of stuff. They were invested already. So that's why we felt safe doing that. But we see a lot of people starting Patreon and just failing or giving up on it eventually. So I wouldn't recommend it personally. Works great for porn games though. A lot of porn games are making lots of money with Patreon, so why not? But yeah, you've released your game. Well done. Was it worth it? Well, player engagement, if you do get players, it feels great. Having people talk to you about the game is really cool. Seeing people play the game on videos or on streams is also really, really great. Doing support, doing bug fixes and patches, it's really appreciated by the players. They really love it. If you're going to do it, you may as well do it in a visible way. Because you're going for the trouble of doing bug fixes, so make sure to post on social media, on your Discord server, whatever, saying, hey, we fixed all the bugs, We're great. Love us, please. Yeah. And then the sales, well, you know, for your first game, for your first games, the sales will probably suck. We were extremely lucky with Shotgun King. We really made a lot of money with that one. But like that's one game in 21 games. And since Shotgun King, we had one other game that made some money, but even that is like 100 times less than Shotgun King. So yeah, and most games don't really make that much money. They don't make enough to actually pay for themselves. And some actually do, like just about. So it's also that, you know, these are our numbers. That doesn't mean like you're gonna have the same result. We have our way to do things. It's definitely not perfect. We kind of suck at marketing, actually, to be honest. We could definitely maybe do better on that and maybe have better numbers as well. But yeah, this is what we have. These numbers are after Steam's cut of 30%, but before French taxes, so we actually do get less in the end. Oops, wait, no, spoilers. Yeah, none of these games were actually made in a month, right? Because we all work on different games. That means that we can have different games being made at the same time. And also, a lot of games did not come out in the 1 month's time frame. A lot of games actually went on for much, much longer. So most of these games did not pay for themselves. But they're still video games, and we made them, and that's something to be proud about, I think. It's pretty cool. Video games are cool, yeah. If you keep making more games, these things may happen. You may, like, if you speed through all the 6 stages in particular, as we do, or like while doing game jams and stuff like that, you're gonna get more comfortable with each of the steps very fast as well. So that's a really great reason of its own to be making games fast and small games. Also on that note, you will get better at making games because I personally am a strong believer in learning by doing. So if you do something again and again, you're just gonna get better at it. If you start making good games, people will also start noticing you, which is really good because you accumulate an audience that will be interested in your next projects as well. You might actually make some money from your expanding catalog because you're releasing new games, and if people get interested in these games, they might actually look up your older games as well, especially if you're going to go through the trouble of doing bundles, which is actually not that much trouble at all, and you really should do it. People will just buy the bundle with all your games, and you'll make more money that way, and it's great. You might have the lottery ticket and get extremely lucky and make a hit. Just don't count on it, because there's no way to actually predict it. You might be able to predict a minor hit, like we had with Super Algebra. If you do marketing well and you do some market research, you might be able to get this kind of number, but not the number above it. Like that's really, like that's just luck. You can't actually predict it. Yeah, you might also pick up new hobbies to remain sane, which I would recommend. Maybe you can learn the sideways split and become Jean-Claude Van Damme. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm Rémy DEVAUX, and that's my Blue Sky account. If you want to follow me on Blue Sky, I would appreciate that. That's my mail if you need to contact me. And that's where you can find all our games. Yeah, go forth and go make games. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this talk. It was extremely interesting. We are going to take some questions. Some people are coming to take the mics. Okay.
I'm going to show you the tools that I told you about. If we can have, yeah, amazing. Well, we do questions at the same time. You can actually ask away. I'm here. I'm all ears.
Hi. So yeah, just curious about your oh here.
Yeah.
Yes, just curious about your engine and firstly, is it only an only 2D engine? And if you want to one day make a 3D game, how would you do it?
So that's a good question. So this is the engine. It is a 2D engine. So here, Shotgun King is already loaded, but I can just do like load code, and that's the main code file. And if I do run, then bam, it loads all the stuff. That's just in the code. Like the code says to load all this stuff, and then it's going to create a window. If we're just a little patient, it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. Délicieux. And so yeah, the engine is 2D only, but I'm going to tell you a secret. 3D games, they're actually shown in 2D on a screen. So you don't actually need a 3D engine. You can make 3D games on a 2D engine. We've actually done that with at least with Shroomkitact. So that's the mushroom game. It's voxel 3D, so it's also a bit of its own world. But it's actually really interesting if you're into that. Yeah, but no, I do not have the intention of actually adding like 3D capacities to the engine itself, because the engine is not made for that. I think it's when you make a game engine, it's important to make the game engine that you need for the games that you want to make. And we don't really want to make 3D games. We want to make 2D games in pixel art. So yeah, that's what it's built for.
Okay, thanks. And is it only in Lua, as I see? And second question, is it because of performances issue that you wanted to make your own game engine?
There's a lot of different reasons for which I'm making the game engine. It's not necessarily about performance stuff, because my engine is not necessarily the most performant anyway. To answer the first question, yes, it is Lua for the scripting. The engine itself is made in C++, but all the game is written in Lua. Lua is great, you guys. It's really flexible. It's a really flexible engine language. There are only very few keywords to learn, and then you can just do anything however you want with them. You can, like, this is really messy, but you can actually do clean code with Lua, I swear, I promise. It's possible, I'm just not doing it. Yeah, does that answer the question? Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's Notepad++, by the way, and I can just do this, like right click, and like move documents, clone to other view, and bam! And if I go there, all right, hello. It just shows up on the other side. It's amazing. It's great. Love it.
Hello.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how to work on the game idea and like basically defining what the game will be as the first stage of your process. But do you have any tips to brainstorms for game ideas that you use at PUNCAKE Délicieux to get like ideas you want to stick with and that you think probably will land, you know?
Yeah, so I think it's very limited advice because we usually come up with our ideas individually, so it's an individual brainstorming kind of thing. But I mean, personally, sometimes I do find game ideas when I'm just not working at all. Or sometimes, well, actually a lot of the time, you work on a game and you are so done with it. You just want to do anything else. And then, weirdly enough, you have all of these game ideas suddenly that you want to make. And so I think it's good to just note these down. And when you're done with the project that you're doing, you can just look at the list and take the one that interests you the most. I do think it's better to go for the idea that excites you the most rather than the idea that you think is gonna work with people. Because if it's not obvious yet, I do think that motivation is super important when you're making a video game. So I think that should be a prime decision-making factor.
Thank you. It was really interesting.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much for your talk. It was very interesting, very inspiring. I had a question about the fact that you said that you had multiple projects at the same time. How do you jump from one project to another, and how does it look like, basically?
Yeah, so what I mostly meant to say is that since we're 3 developers, each developer works on different projects. We try to do regular calls, like once a week-ish, about, where we just talk about the different projects and see how everything is going. Our musician and illustrator do work on all of the games, so it's also a time to make sure that everyone is aware of the changes and like how everyone is doing, how everyone is progressing on what they're doing. And then also, I'm doing support on all of the games. Like even the games I haven't made, I do the bug fixes and stuff. And that I usually do between my own projects. So when I'm done with one project, before moving on to the next thing, I'm gonna go and take a look at the bug reports that we've got, and I'm just gonna do it then. It is messy to swing between projects. So I personally like to keep things compartmented. There are ways to work on different projects at the same time, but it's hard. It's just difficult.
And how many projects do you have at the same time?
Well, usually 3. There was actually a time in December where we had 6 projects at the same time because we did a game jam, and all 3 devs made the game jam. And also, I think I was working on Shotgun King, but I also had Hot Wax on break. And Benjamin was working on something else, plus their game jam projects. And Eris was working on something else as well. So yeah, we had a lot of games going at the same time. It was too much. It was really too much. It was exhausting. Because even if you're not working actively on all the projects at the same time, having all of these in the backgrounds, it's a lot of mental load. It's not great.
Hi. Thanks for the talk. It was great. Do you have advices on how to keep the game concept very simple so that you can create it in short amount of time and not like keep the scope very small yet while still being excited by the project?
Yeah, I do get that question quite often. I think we're going to talk about it in the table ronde on Friday as well. But what I would say is so as I said, define your core values. Make sure that all of your ideas stick to that and keep it essential. And also one advice that I didn't talk about there, but I often give, is try to nail down the most important interaction that's in your game. So that can be a player interaction or a game interaction. Meaning it can be when I do this manipulation, when I press these buttons, this happens, and that's the most important interaction in the game, and the game should revolve all around that interaction. And if I stray too far from that, then maybe it's time to start cutting ideas and go back to the core of the game. And yeah, it can also just be a game interaction, as in like things happen in the game, and so the game is going to be based on the information that it actually gives to you. An example for that, I made a Sudoku-like with like a really kind of weird twisted rules, and the game is really about the generation of the grids, and that's the core of the game, right? So yeah, hope that answers the question.
Hi, thank you for your talk. I was wondering at the start of PUNCAKE Délicieux, how did you find money? Like with this kind of games, I don't know which kind of helps you can ask or not, so I was wondering.
That's a very good question. We really hate paperwork, so we've actually we've never asked for help. We were lucky enough to have some money set apart, and we knew that we could survive for X months without making any money. We knew that we would be we knew that we would be making some money. We knew that it wouldn't be enough to keep going infinitely, but we knew that it would, keep us lasting for longer. So yeah, when we started, we'd had enough to survive, and we were like, okay, if it doesn't work, like it's okay, we'll just move on to something else.
First of all, I want to thank you for the presentation. It was very, very interesting, and it's very nice to see what you do at PUNCAKE.
Thank you.
And I had a question about the games you made. You said you made 21 games since 2022, I think. Out of curiosity, how many concepts have you stopped working on temporarily or given up on?
Oh man, I don't know. Definitely upwards of 10. Yeah, I don't know, between 10 and 20, I would say, I guess. I can't give you a precise number. We don't actually keep track.
Thanks for the talk. I wanted to ask about hierarchy, or do you need the approval of other developers to start on a project, and how do you balance the fact that maybe you don't believe in one of your fellow developer project, and it may bring down the company a bit or no, and how do you manage this point?
Yeah, it's very easy. There's something called peer pressure. No, we actually, well, I mean, I joke, and at the same time, it's kind of true, sadly. But we don't really have any kind of well, it's hard to pronounce in English. Hierarchy? Yeah, we're anarchists, okay? So we don't have that. But since we all work on our own projects, we do have the responsibility, each of our projects, and we do talk about them a lot. And that also helps get validations from the others. And I think what makes it work is that all of us do want the validations from the others. And so we're going to be very receptive to the feedback that we get from the others in the team. And that also helps keeping an identity for all the games that's consistent. So yeah, in a way, it kind of is peer pressure, even if it sucks. But I think we're also all kind of open-minded, and we'll try to, be open to what the person says about their idea. If they can defend it, if they can explain why they're excited about it, then we'll probably just go for it.
Hi, thank you so much for the talk. You said that sometimes the hell zone in the right moment to figure out that your game idea isn't really working. How do you really make the distinction between a game idea that isn't working and a game idea you're tired of at the moment? And maybe do you have some examples of core ideas of game that definitely didn't work and you had to scrap?
Yeah, so for the first question, sometimes it's just the same thing. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's why you're getting tired, right? And sometimes you are just getting tired, and that means that even if the idea maybe is working, but it's not working for you now, so maybe it still is a good idea to just move to something else for then. I do have a very recent example. A few weeks ago, we actually met up, the whole team met up, and we had this plan of making each one game in a week. And I wanted to make this table tennis game that had very strange controls with the gamepad. Well, it's not that strange, but it's definitely unconventional, where basically your position would follow the position of the joysticks. Doesn't matter too much, but I felt like that would work really well. I felt like I could make an action game that would be really tight and really, really fun to play and very competitive, like Nedog. And so I went for that, and after 3 days of making that game, it really wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be. And it was a huge letdown, and I was having a really hard time with it, and I just gave up. And on the 4th day, I felt so good. It was great. It was really great. So, yeah.
Hi. Thank you for sharing us your experience. It was truly interesting, and sorry for my terrible English. I promise I'm trying my best. I have 2 questions. The first one, is, have you ever thought at PUNCAKE Délicieux for making a game that would last more than a month, like a year or even years? And the second one, I think you already kind of answered to it, but anyway, without measure it like Shotgun Kings, would you or could you continue your current economic model?
That's hard to answer because we do have Shotgun King and we do have the money from Shotgun King. If we didn't have the money from Shotgun King, I don't know, we'd probably have changed gears into doing things a little differently and probably try to market, like try harder to market the game better to make more money, because obviously at some point you do need money. So that's really all I can say, because the fact is that we do have Shotgun King and it is paying for our salaries. So we don't, thankfully, we don't have to worry too much about that for now, at least. And also, you asked about a longer game. Well, Shotgun King is that longer game because it came out in 2022, and we're still updating it. Like, we're still working on it. We're still doing fixes. So yeah, I know that's not really what you meant. I mean, that's not really our thing, right? We've set out to make small games, and that's still what we want to do for now. Maybe someday that would change. Maybe we'll get bored. But for now, we don't have any really intention to like make bigger stuff.
Thank you.
This is a sprite, by the way. It's like, because like all the sprites for our games are in a grid like this, and we just show them at the right time. It gives you the animations and stuff. Having a hard time with it right now. That's for Moonpong, and that's for Shotgun King. It's pretty great. The great thing with Pixar is that you can do it with the mouse. You don't actually need a drawing tablet. And when you don't have money, it's great. It's great to be able to use what you have.
So just to, you kind of answered it already, but I wanted to know, 21 games is obviously a lot. Congrats.
Thank you.
But it's really inspiring. However, do you ever feel like you will maybe run out of ideas eventually? Do you really think that you can keep going doing that for years, or is PUNCAKE Délicieux has always meant to be just a like temporary experience, I guess?
That's a very interesting question. I don't think we'll ever run out of ideas, because you can just look out to what comes out is out there, you know, and even outside of games. Like, of course, looking at the games that come out now is very interesting, but looking at, like, sometimes you can find ideas in movies, in sports, in real life. Like, you can find some really interesting stuff all the time, and I don't really think there's a limit there. Is it meant to be a temporary thing? I think that's not something we think about too much. We're not very good at projecting ourselves into the future, to be honest. I don't know. We don't think of it that way, but maybe you're right. Maybe at some point, like we do have this idea that if we get tired of it, we'll just try and do something else, or maybe stop and go our separate ways, and that's completely okay.